Hello everybody, it's Calxiyn here, and just Calxiyn here. I think somebody called it yesterday when I uploaded. Someone said Hunter seemed a bit off, and now he's like deadly sick. So he's not here today, but I am, and yeah, I guess we'll just have to deal. We have a lot of things to talk about, and so I don't want to talk about that too much. I'm really sad that Hunter couldn't be here though, seriously, because this was such a good episode. But anyway, I think that we'll have to do some more videos because lots of theories were actually like confirmed, and so we might need to talk about things a little bit separately here later, but we're gonna talk about everything now, but I may make some separate videos to cover. I'm so excited I can't even speak. Okay, so Qrow told them about the maidens, basically told them about everything regarding them trying to make Pyrrha into a maiden. Also, yay, Qrow isn't dead. John gets really salty, and they kind of get into a little bit of a, you know, a fight. And Qrow tells John that it was Pyrrha's choice, but John thinks that they tried to force her to become this maiden, and he kind of talks about it as if the maidens are monsters, and I found that very interesting, that he would kind of, because everybody else seems to think that, I mean, I don't know what everybody else thinks, because nobody else really said anything, but I would think that people think the maidens are these, you know, great, powerful beings, but John seems to think, the way he talked about it, it was almost like they were trying to force her to become a monster, like that's how he was talking about it, and so they get into a little bit of a fight. Qrow also explains that using her silver eyes made her a target, because there have been people with silver eyes, but he says something very interesting. He says that the fact that she was able to use it, so maybe some people get the silver eye power but aren't strong enough to use that power. That's kind of where it was going. Also, Qrow used RWBY as bait, as John pointed out, and Qrow was like, well, you know, I wouldn't put it that way. I thought that was kind of funny, actually, and I understand, like, listen, I know, like, RWBY is good bait, like, listen, he was there, he was watching, like, you know, I'm gonna defend Qrow for a minute and say that the bait was okay, you know. And Qrow's hilarious, like, in his every retort, like, even though this is a very serious situation, he does have some funny lines in here, and I really like that. Also, Qrow mentions religion, and I don't know if you guys have been following my other videos, but I've been waiting to talk about religion in Remnant for, like, the longest time, but he says that people aren't really religious these days, and there are tons of gods and stuff like that, but there's one story that is true, and that is the tale of two brothers, and that was actually mentioned when Pyrrha listed off some fairy tales, and yes, it's been mentioned before, so they were really planning this, and oh my god, I was just so excited when I heard that. I freaked out, because a couple of videos ago, I was talking about the fairy tale thing, and a couple of people listed that one off as maybe being one of the ones mentioned, and so the story goes, there's one brother of light, one of darkness, one makes life, and the other kind of brings death, and so there's kind of this balance in the universe, you know, one brings water, the other will bring drought, and so the brother basically made the Grimm, because he wanted to destroy everything. that seems to be where that went. And so the older brother was like, okay, come on, this is getting ridiculous, let's make something together, and so they made humans. Humans have light and dark in them. I got chills at this part, man. They have free will to choose the two paths, and so that made the brothers happy, that they could both have something that would decide, and they could maybe watch decide. That's how I kind of think of it, and oh my gosh, like, the music in this episode was on point. Like, when they mentioned Pyrrha, the music changed. When they were talking about this, the music here gave me chills, and I was basically crying. Like, I'm still crying. And now we found out what the relics are! So there is a relic of knowledge, creation, instruction, and choice. And so all of them were left behind by the gods, so it says. And so these are the relics. And so the schools were the perfect place to hide the relics because they were always surrounded by huntsmen in training, so they were easy to protect. So as much as the schools were created to train the next generation of hunters and huntsmen, it was also kind of for, to protect the relics, I should say. And so I have a theory on who the relics all belong to, but I'm thinking that Ozpin's relic is probably creation, just because he kind of has guarded the maidens, and he also, it seems like it would be creation or knowledge is basically what I'm trying to say, because I don't know, it's kind of hard to choose, because I think that one of the relics may have already been in the hands of Salem, because basically later it's explained that Salem is trying to get the relics, and Salem has all of this knowledge, so maybe she already has the knowledge relic, and now she's trying to get all of the other ones, you know what I mean? But it doesn't sound like she has any of them yet, so I'm gonna write that off and say that maybe Ozpin has the knowledge relic, or I guess Qrow has it now, because Qrow now has the relic. So then we switch off from that, and it goes basically back to Blake, and this was really a really interesting contrast to have Blake's story here too. And so Kali says something like, oh, you know, every father has time for his daughter, and then Blake's like, you know, I don't think some of my friends would agree, so it shows that she's kind of thinking about Weiss, which was interesting because we just did a video on monochrome. And Callie wants to hear more of Team RWBY's adventures, so obviously Sun cannot keep his mouth shut. He's talking a lot about Team RWBY, and there's this really touching scene with Blake and her dad. Like, I can't even explain it. It's a really good scene is an understatement. Blake's father sounds a lot like a father. I don't know why I wrote that down. I guess he just has this like fatherly, you know, voice, you know what I mean? Like, I guess this guy must be like typecast as like the burly dad all the time because he sounds perfect. Also, Blake doesn't take sugar anymore. Apparently that was an important detail to kind of show their disconnect. And her father said like the worst thing ever. Oh my god. Okay, so her father, you guys probably have watched it if you're watching this, but just to review, you know, Blake's outfit doesn't cover much. Oh my god, he said that because he was like, is it hot in Vale? Because your outfit doesn't cover very much or something, and I was dying, and I was like, oh my god. And he's like, you know, maybe armor would suit you better, and I was just like, oh my god. And I wondered if, like, he was asking because he thinks that Blake is, like, you know, not covering up or something for Sun. Like, I think that's kind of what he was implying. So Blake was really nervous in this scene, and you kind of see a new side to her character. She's nervous, and she's really upset because she doesn't think her parents love her anymore, because when they left the White Thing, she didn't come with them, she didn't listen, and she kind of, I guess, I don't want to say makes a big deal, but, like, she kind of, like, holds this weight on her shoulder. She feels like she disappointed them, and her father makes a good point that she was able to pull herself out of the dark path, and not many people can do that. And so she possesses that strength, and I feel like that's very important and a nice contrast, because we were just talking about how humans take two different paths, right? The light path and the dark path because of the two brothers that kind of impose that on us to choose free will and everything. And so it seems like that they use Blake's story definitely as a contrast there. And so Sun was eavesdropping, and Blake slapped him silly, like at least 5 times. Like, it was not like, oh my god, it was pretty funny, I have to admit. She beat the shit out of him. But he was eavesdropping, but he had to tell her something important, and we'll get to that in a minute, because right now it flips back to Qrow and the rest of the gang. And so Nora's like, shouldn't we go warn Minstrel, because aren't they next? And Qrow's like, yeah, they are next, we already know. I mean, we already know that Minstrel's next, but like Qrow knows, there's a suspicion that they're next. And they ask, like, oh, why can't the world know? And I feel like that's like a really, I don't want to say, it's a little bit tropey. Like, if we're being honest, like, oh, but if the world knows, they'll be thrown in a you know what I mean? Like, it's a trope. It wasn't used that badly here. Jean is the definition of angst in this scene. Like, everything Qrow says, he's like, well, you know, like, he just, he has this, I don't know, thing in his voice. He's like, kind of like, well, you're just a bundle of joy, aren't you? And all of that kind of stuff, you know what I mean? Like, he's so angsty because, and obviously it's because of what's happening in Apira, but like, okay, like, Jean, you don't know Qrow's life. Like, you don't know, and so don't judge Qrow, okay? So Qrow describes Salem a little bit, but he says not much is known about her, and it doesn't matter who she is, because you know, the world's kind of at stake, and like, that's not the most important part. is that she's using other people against each other, and so when everything kind of all gets blown to hell, they're pointing fingers at each other and everything. And I thought that was a really good line because, I mean, that is what she's doing. She's making everybody else blame each other, and like, I think Qrow brings that up kind of because John's blaming Qrow about what happened to Pyrrha. But yeah, it was, I don't know, that line made me kind of feel something because in the end, when everything does go to hell, nobody is gonna suspect Salem because nobody knows about her, and even if they did, they aren't gonna see this big mastermind behind this plot, but instead, they're gonna see, you know, friends, enemies, all of this, like, within humans, as far as we know. Salem is not. But you know what I mean? And when he says this, he looks at the moon, and that made me think, like, is Salem, like, on the moon? Like, did she cause the break of the moon? Because it seems like every time, like, they mention her, like, that is where the camera goes. And so I wonder if that's, like, a totally non-subtle hint, is that, Salem had something to do with the moon breaking. Because they say that, you know, she's divided them, and, like, people will be divided again like the Great War, and so I wonder if the moon was damaged in the Great War. I don't know, that sounds really stupid, but listen, I don't I don't have Hunter to keep me in line today. Anyway, so Qrow doesn't really know what to do, and he openly admits that, and I feel like that's very important for any character to admit that they have flaws, you know what I mean? And Qrow has many flaws, don't get me wrong, like Qrow has some flaws, but like, you hardly see characters openly admit that they have no idea what's going on, I feel, sometimes. And you know, sometimes they do, but you mostly have this hero that seems like to know what's going on, to know what to do at all times, and that's, again, really tropey. And so, you see Qrow, and Qrow's supposed to be kind of this, you know, hero in the storybooks for RWBY, and RWBY talked about fairy tales and all that stuff, but now, Qrow's like, yeah, I don't know, like, this isn't one of your fairy tales, like, I know he didn't say it like that, but, like, that's kind of what he means, right? Like, this is the real world, he has no idea, and he's not your hero. And so he's like, okay, time for bed, and RWBY kind of gets mad at him because she says that Qrow should have trusted her, but Qrow retorts that it has nothing about trust, and it's a long story, and then Nora's just like, really? You're choosing right now, like, you know, to argue about telling us long stories? You've been telling long stories all night! Like, that's basically how she sounds. She's so cute. I've warmed up to Nora. I know in the past couple episodes I haven't liked her, but now I've warmed up to her a lot. And so, this is a big one. Bad luck theory confirmed. So on my Raven video, a couple people have I think on another one too, I don't even remember, it's that Qrow's semblance is actually bad luck, okay? And so, yes, it is! And so, basically, from what we understand, Qrow's semblance is that he brings misfortune and misery. He is basically a bad luck charm, which is good for his enemies, but not for the people that fight alongside him, and that is why he wasn't with Team RWBY. And so now I feel like looking back and kind of, seeing almost like in the scenes with Qrow if anything weird happened, because right after Qrow leaves, the log falls down on the fire as if that's like, oh, you know, there's Qrow's bad luck again. So I was thinking, you guys, that the tribe might have kept Qrow around, basically, because like as a child, we know Qrow's not with them anymore, but they would have kept him around because they basically gain more than they lose. So yes, he brings misfortune, and yes, a couple people around them probably might die, but they bring so much downfall to their enemies, and that seems to be really important. You know, as Raven says, the strong survive, you know, the weak die off, sort of thing. And so that seems to be kind of their mantra, and so they probably don't, you know, a couple of weak people got cursed by Qrow, you know, it's okay. But, you know, this reveals a lot, since, you know, now we know that Qrow semblance is not turning into a bird, and that brings us to Raven also, right? Anyway, the most important part is that Raven, is that Raven's semblance is not turning into a bird, which means she has another semblance, which means this is some magic bullshit. Anyway, I was so excited about that. I was like, I was right. Because, like, if Qrow, right, okay, if Qrow has a different semblance, then she must also have a different semblance, right? Because that means the bird thing has nothing to do with semblance. It's all magic. Oh my god, I might cry. Anyway, we're gonna talk more about Blake, right now. Before I freaking, like, have a heart attack, man, because my heart's racing. Blake's father, basically says that he doesn't like Sun. Like, we already knew that. He does not like Sun. And so Sun was getting beat. I talked about that already. And so Callie says that the Faunus, in Menagerie that are a part of the White Fang don't wear the White Fang masks. And so that was really interesting because, basically, Sun says that he took a picture of someone that was wearing the mask when he was out at the market. And, so Blake is like, you know, fuck you, I'm not here to fight the White Fang, I'm here to find myself and rest and be with my family. She throws the phone and the phone hits someone, somehow. Blake must have, like, the most ridiculous throw, because where the phone went and where this person was, like, it was not even in the realm of the same place. So there was someone, it's a spy, as Blake says. It's a lizard, maybe. It's one of those lizard rhinoceros people that we saw previously. We didn't get a good look at her, but, she looks like, first, she looks like a person of color because, I mean, like, that's just how she looks. Her skin, looks darker than any of the other characters that we've seen so far. Maybe it was just the lighting. We don't really know for sure. I don't think we'll know until, like, we see this character in greater detail, but if she is, you know, +1. I also love her hair. Her hair's in, like, this giant, like, big ponytail. Like, she looks awesome. She's gonna be an awesome foe to fight. And I think that this means that Adam is in Menagerie, because we do see, for the last episode of the volume, we think, Adam is going to be fighting Blake in this desert area, and we think that's the other side of Menagerie, so maybe this woman, this spy, is there to kind of relay back to Adam. I'm really excited that it's a lizard too, because that shows off a new kind of faunus. So then, I don't have much to say about that, actually. She looks like a freaking ninja, and it's great. It's great. I'm really excited for her character. Other than that, Qrow is pretty much dying when we get back to him. Like, his wound is seeping, like, he looks sick. I'm pretty sure he's gonna die this time. Not gonna lie. Like, he was basically the exposition machine and then they killed him. Like, I could see them doing that because he's coughing, he's sick. He didn't tell them about the bird thing, though, and so I don't know how I feel about him dying just yet. People are like, no, Qrow's not gonna die, he still has to tell them things. Well, bitch, he told them everything and now he's gonna die. Oh my god, I'm so paranoid about Qrow. Like, okay, people were saying, rightfully so, that Qrow hasn't fulfilled his role yet, but Qrow basically told them everything, and so if he dies right now, you know, I feel like I would, as a viewer, I'm not okay. As a writer, it kind of makes sense. Like, that's how a lot of characters are. Like, they are the exposition machine and then they die. But Qrow has such a better character than that. You can't just kill him off right now. But that made me worried, man. And that is why. That's why we need to see Ren's semblance or Jean's semblance, because one of them has a healing power and one of them needs to use it now. I'm calling it right now. In the next episode, Ren is either gonna suck out that poison or Jean's gonna heal him. Like, we don't know yet. But it's kind of hinted that Jean may have this healing power, you know, and that's what a couple other people think too, because he is kind of the support, character to some extent, and so having him have healing would make sense, but you know, I still think Qrow's gonna die, because that's what I've been saying the whole time, that Qrow is gonna die after he gives some exposition. I think that's it. I know Hunter and I usually talk more, but I think that some of this stuff needs to be its own theory video, almost. Like, I'm gonna make at least a post under my Raven video to be like, guys, like, guess what? Or at least make an update video, to that video that I made. But this should do for now, you guys. I'll make sure to update those theories though, and everything like that. Oh, I didn't say thank you to Edwin at the beginning. Oh no, I forgot. I will do that at the end. Anyway, you guys. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. So thoughts on the episode. The episode was beautiful. Like the moon rendering, like Menagerie, like all of it. Their animation is so good, and the music was so fitting. Like for I want to say for everything. Like for every scene, the music was great, and like leaving us on that cliffhanger like that. Like Qrow's gonna die. And so next episode, I think they're gonna do a World of Remnant, keeping it real. After that, we may get back to our scheduled programming, but I don't think they're gonna show Blake and RWBY again. I think that they're gonna go back to Weiss and Yang, and nothing against Weiss and Yang, but like, really want to see that girl, that spy girl, you know, that's going after Blake. I can see their, you know, ship name already, like Ninjas of Love or whatever. Get it? Because she's a ninja and it's Blake, and Blake reads those. Anyway, I think we are pretty much done. I know this one's shorter, but that's because Hunter's not here to like tell me off or whatever. So anyway, if you guys enjoyed this, remember to give it a like and talk to me in the comments. Freak out with me, because I am freaking out. What else to say? Yes, thank you for, Patreon people, Huntsman, tier, Edwin. If you guys want to support me on Patreon, there's a link in the description, by the way. Other than that, oh my god, I don't know what to say. But yes, guys, freak out with me. Oh my goodness, I have so many. I feel like next week the videos are just gonna be like the sad, sad tale of Qrow and Raven, like something like that, because my last one was like the sad tale of Jacques, or whatever. But yeah, we def have to talk. We need to talk about all of the theories and the religion thing. Like, there's just, this episode was so loaded. Even if we get a World of Remnant, like, I'm gonna be theorizing for days. So don't worry about all of that. Check out my other videos, by the way, if you guys haven't seen that Raven video. I worked really hard on it, and now me almost being right makes me so happy. But anyway, yeah, I don't really have anything else to say. But yeah, guys, I'm gonna make a New Year's video actually later tonight, so look out for that. At least I think I am, or at least just kind of a year in review sort of thing, because I love you guys and I want to tell you guys how much I love you more. And now I'm rambling at the end of the video. Okay, so anyway, guys, I will see you all later.